Very cool.
What?
There's somebody from Scotland that just joined.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Yeah, very cool.
All right. So let's see here. Hang on one second. All right. All right. Getting all set up here. All right. So what should we do? Let's do an invocation.
Yes.
We'll do it. So everybody who's joined, we're doing an invocation. There's a shamanic invocation of the four elements. So sit comfortably straight. Shut your eyes. Okay, here we go. Everybody take a breath with me. Everybody in. Gently out. Keep your eyes closed through all this. Again, in, slow. At the top, hold it. Gently out. One more time, in. Everybody in. At the top, hold it. Gently out. Now keep your eyes closed and breathe at your own pace. We surround ourselves with white light of divine protection and golden light of divine love and wisdom. And we call in all our illumined guides, our spirit guides, including our illumined self, our own God self. We call in the direction south, element fire, ruler of our life force energy, our spiritual body, our chi, ruler of our powers of imagination and intuition, connecting us to so much of the wisdom of the universe. We call in the direction west, element water, ruler of our emotional bodies, giving us capacity to feel and, like water, adapting to ever-changing conditions. Direction of the setting sun, endings, death, and the angel of death. So old habits, old patterns of belief that no longer serve us, we gladly feed to the angel of death. We call in the direction north, element earth, ruler of our physical bodies and the five senses, connecting us to so many of the wonders of Mother Earth. Direction of prosperity, financial abundance, and health. And direction of Mother Earth herself, Mother Gaia, and all her children, her plants and blossoms, pets and animals. We call in the direction east, element air, ruler of our mental bodies, allowing us capacity to make assessments between truth and illusion, not judgments between good and evil, for who are we to judge, but assessments between truth and illusion, between what serves our ego and what serves our heart. Direction of the words. In the beginning was a word, which leads to communication and society, and art and beauty. Direction of the rising sun. New beginnings every day. Birth and rebirth every day. So this very session can steer you in a new direction that completely changes your life. And so all you spirits, thank you so much. Whether we acknowledged or not, your giving has never ceased. So thank you. And please continue to guide us in our thoughts, in our words, in our deeds, so we can become impeccable spiritual warriors, spreading love and wisdom, joy and creativity to everyone we meet, knowing it must begin from within ourselves. So thank you. And if you agree, say ho. Ho.
Oh,
Ho is kind of like amen, in Native American traditions. Okay, so very good. And now slowly open your eyes.
I cheated a little bit. I opened it right after you said ho.
Oh, no, that's okay.
So, so thank you so much. That was beautiful. Thank you. And I apologize. We had so many technical issues between TikTok and here, but now we're here. And
Yes.
so I would like, if you can, because I think Instagram only allows like 50 minutes before it cuts us off, but can you give a quick introduction to who you are and what you do?
Oh, okay. I'm Fu-Ting Cheng. I'm American. I was born here in America, but both my parents are Chinese. So I had an auspicious family. This is like one of my grandparents was consultant to the Empress Dowager in China, and my other grandfather was mayor of Guangzhou, Canton used to be called, and ambassador to various countries. But that did not mean I had a easy childhood. I had a very difficult childhood for various reasons, and beatings and foster homes and all this. And so it drove me to so much despair and distraction. It was just unrelenting torment and tragedies in our family for various reasons that it got me so in despair that by the time in college, I had to tell myself, hey, I better get my act together or I'm going to die ahead of my time. This is like Berkeley in the 60s, so everything was happening. So luckily, I found meditation. That was the last thing that I haven't tried. I did real well in my career, in my schools, and won a contest in architecture, everything, but it did not solve the hole in your heart. It's an inside job, as many of you know. And so I started meditation, which put me on the spiritual path. And then it was the first time I turned my gaze inward. And so there was a moment of peace. It was only 5 seconds. I meditated 20 minutes at a time, but only 5 seconds. I felt so peaceful. It was an everlasting peace. I knew it was always going to be there, and then it was gone. But something changed. Like that was 5 seconds more peace than I ever had in my life. It was just, anyway, it was a whole terrible childhood. And so one thing led to another. And then I decided to become not a career as in architecture, but a seeker. And so next thing I'm meditating, like advanced courses in the Himalayas, and then anyway, all kinds of practices, Jungian psychology, Joseph Campbell, quantum physics, all of that figured into my spiritual quest. And the big turning point was when I was working with Don Miguel Ruiz. Some of you know him as the author of the Four Agreements. Anyway, he's terrific. And through this powerful ritual called Jump to the Sun, this happened in Teotihuacan, where those giant pyramids are in Mexico. Anyway, after this Jump to the Sun ritual, if you're interested, you can ask me about it. I'll tell you more. But anyway, after that, nothing since has been the same. And so since this was in 95, so since then, I've been teaching shamanic practices. So my big passion nowadays is to share the deepest wisdoms to the widest number of people. So through my books, my workshops, social media, TikTok, Instagram, all of that is toward that end. And so basically, that's me.
Well, you opened that door. So what happened at the pyramids? Because that changed your life.
Oh, okay. Imagine this. We are doing what's called power journeys. and they last a week more or less. So the first day we're there, we're off the ground running with death rituals, death to the old you, death to your ego, and so on. Like, wow, that's a powerful ritual right off the bat. And then through the days we keep going. And then we give our atmosphere to help the atmosphere of the earth. And we go to another plaza. We give the waters to help all the oceans and lakes and the river. You know, pretty soon you're giving away all of yourself, leaving an etheric body, sort of like a virtual reality version of yourself. And anyway, at the end, there's this climactic ritual at the end. It's called Jump to the Sun. And all we knew was that there was a vortex there of energy that connects all the earth energy with that of the sun. It was a very powerful spot in the Teotihuacan, which the whole thing is already a powerful spot, but this is especially powerful. And so well, what happened was he had 60 apprentices sitting cross-legged around this giant, big concrete platform they called the sacrificial altar. In the old days, they did sacrificial rituals there. Anyway, so we're sitting there, and Don Miguel gave us the instructions. You in the circle, you 60 of you in the circle, send energy from your heart to the two in the middle, and the two in the middle will send it up to the sun. So Fuding and Gabi get into the middle. Oh my God, I was so like, wow, flattered to be asked to go in the middle. And then I was terrified to go into the middle, like, yikes, what am I supposed to do? There's no instruction about what you're supposed to do in the middle. Anyway, I was in the middle. So then my mind started going like, gee, what if I blow it? And all my Chinese shame, you know, cultivated over 5,000 years, you know, that kind of thing. God, if I blow it and all, whoops. I knew enough to stop my thinking mind, you know, that monkey mind that just was going. So I breathed into my heart. And once I did that, I saw like laser light beams coming up from all the 60 to the two of us in the middle. And my body just shot up like this. Next thing I knew, there was so much energy, I had to get to my feet. And then after that, I had to throw my chest up into the air, so to speak, to send energy up into the sun. My chest was so filled with energy, I thought I'd burst. And then I would have thoughts and they would get just blown out. Let's say I had thought, oh, this isn't love. Love is sweet and tender. And then, it just got blown out like putting a post-it note on the end of a fire hose, you know, it just goes. And I had other thoughts, oh, I'll get blown away. But one thought stuck then, and it was, this isn't the sweetness of love, this is the power of love, connecting heaven and earth, man to woman, electron to proton, everything, you know. And then, anyway, pretty soon sounds were coming out of my mouth, like, oh, you know, like powerful kung fu yells. And pretty soon it was so strong, it was going like that because, you know, that imagine grabbing a hose by a foot away from the end and the hose starts flopping. There was so much energy, it was kind of like that. So I'm going, whoa. And then pretty soon I lost control of my thoughts. They just, you know, whatever happened just got blown out. And my will to do anything, I just had to kind of completely surrender. And then energy way more powerful than me just went through me. And then the last thing I remember before I kind of lost consciousness was, oh, I'm a link connecting heaven and earth. And I was like a two-legged human link connecting heaven and earth. And then I don't know how much time went. It must have been 5 minutes, 10 minutes. I didn't know. Pretty soon I felt the pressure on my chest, and it was Don Miguel, and my eyes flicked open for a brief moment, and he says, that's enough, and he helped me sit back down. And everybody was singing some kind of hymnal song, was very great for grounding. And I knew a tremendous something had happened, but I had no words for it. And I just wept. And then afterwards, Don Miguel says, okay, that's enough for this ritual. Usually we climb up to the Pyramid of the Sun, but because of this was so intense already, he says, let's not climb up to the Pyramid of the Moon. We usually climb up to the Pyramid of the Moon. Forget it, because part of the responsibility of a teacher is to protect your nervous system so you don't blow your circuits with too much energy. Anyways, so then I just sat there for a while, just couldn't even move. I felt like electricity. And then my wife at the time was come jumping up. Wow, look at your eyes, your pupils fill your eyes. You were like the shaman we saw in that movie. My God, are you okay? Like all this. And you want to go get some lunch? And so, I can't do it. I could barely even talk, right? And I said, look at, what I need to do is jump into a swimming pool because I was just all jittery, like I was all electricity. Anyway, after that, it would take me, weeks and then maybe a few years before I completely assimilated what happened. But the long and the short of it is that I knew that I had woken up from the dream of the planet. And that was a giant step in, one's spiritual evolution to wake up from Maya, as they say in the East. This is all a big cosmic illusion. Or in the shamanic tradition, we call it the dream of the planet. Very similar idea. This is a wonderful, alluring dream, but it's still a dream. The only thing real is your pure being, your essence, your being. Anyway, so that's one of the things, among many other things, that this jump to the sun ritual had taught me.
Wow. So that's what you were perceiving at the time you were having the experience, but were the people around you, because you said there were 60, so did the other 49 or 59 people like witness this whole process as well? Did they have the same perception of something happening to you?
They're going through, they had their experiences too. Though I was in the
Oh,
middle, they're going through their things too. And so later I would check up on all of them, ask them, like, what happened with you, and so on and so forth. So they were going through their things as well.
oh, wow. So it was like a ring of fire from what I'm visualized, like a ring of fire, and that fire just went directly into the center, which you happen to be in the center of, and then you just shot it up to the sky.
Right, exactly. Yeah,
That's
yeah.
dope. That's pretty cool.
Yeah, no, I consider it the big blessing of my life. I consider waking up to who you are is as good a goal in life as any, to know who you are, know thyself.
Well, you had the realization that essentially what science is now starting to catch up with, that this is a dream, this is a simulation at this point, and you had that realization at that moment when you went through that experience.
Yes, yes, yes. Yeah, so now like I read a lot about quantum physics because a lot of times some of the best support for the claims made by yogis over the centuries is now being done by physicists, quantum physicists. So we talk about pure being, like the spiritual people would talk, pure being. That's our essence. That's the only thing that's real. Everything else is a dream. Okay, now quantum physicists are saying very similar things. They call it like maybe the um, quantum ground, pure ground of reality, or there's various phrases.
Mhm.
And so, and from um, that state, there's nothing manifested, yet everything that is manifested in the universe comes from there. That kind of thinking. So that's how quantum physics talk, and that's how mystics have talked. As a matter of fact, when I was in the Himalayas practicing what were called the Yoga Sutras of Patanjali, some of you may know, it's a whole series of coded mantras and sutras for gaining superordinary powers, like becoming invisible, moving backwards and forwards in time, and superordinary senses. So during that period in the Himalayas, I was practicing all that stuff. That was another way of stretching the possibility of what it means to be human. My God, we're capable of so much we don't even know about.
And you're teaching, are you teaching that right now? The being able to travel to and from, like taking out of the like the vessel experience and going into that experience, the spiritual
Well, the
experience.
thing I think the most valuable, more than the powers themselves,
Hmm.
by the way, the powers are controversial because a lot of yogis think that they are powers in an earthly sense, but they are dangerously, it can make you dangerously egotistical.
Hmm.
So I don't like to talk about the powers themselves.
Hmm.
However, the part that is important is your mind and body coordination so that your mind really has power over the physical world. It does. Not directly, literally, but it does. Like the world, then you start realizing things like many of you have heard these phrases, but when you really experience such things, you know it's true. And then, wow, like the world is a giant mirror of ourselves. So if this world, let's say today, nowadays, like with all the politics going on, oh, what horrendous things being done in our name. It's just, unconscionable. All right. What's the best way to look at that from a spiritual warriorship viewpoint? Right? Okay, one person could look at this horrendous state of our politics, let's say, and say, oh, how disgusting. How can so many ignorant people follow this guy and lead to these terrible ends? Okay, it's understandable. I can see that. It won't help you, but I can understand that. But another person could see the same horrendous situation and say, oh my God, look at all these people. They need sympathy. They need understanding. Look how much suffering. How can I help? We need to have understanding and patience. This has gone far enough. Okay, so spirit hears all this stuff. Our thoughts take form. That's a fundamental. And so the person who thought like, oh, look how stupid these guys are. How can they trust this guy, etc. Okay, then spirit hears it. And since our thoughts take form, the spirit will say, oh, this guy is into judgment, criticism, blaming. Let's give them more situations where there's criticism and things to blame about. Okay, then they'll create their own world, right? Another person sees that same situation, but their attitude is so different. And they're saying, oh, we need to have compassion and patience. How can we help these people? They're so suffering. Okay, then the spirit hears, oh, this guy's into compassion and people who are understanding, and then you get that world. And in that way, we create our own world. Our thoughts take form.
So I want to take that in two separate ways. So we create our own world. So we are each living in our own perceived world, which is a mirror, right? But collectively, we decided to share this experience together, and it's up to us to identify or at least come up with some sort of mental agreement or perception of how we are dealing with that world. I don't know if
Correct.
that makes sense. Okay, that makes sense. Okay. So, and it is kind of hard because there's a lot of things out there or people out there that say, you can manifest this, you can change your reality. Like it's something very simple. I personally do not find it very simple because we have all these programming from, lifetimes or, just in your current lifetime, how you were raised. And so you really have to take control of your mind at that
Oh,
point.
yes, yes. You got to be vigilant. Here, hence the word spiritual warriorship. It's not nammy-pammy stuff to do this. No, you got to be vigilant against your own inner demons. We call them parasites in the shamanic practice. And so you really want to be attentive. So let's say, for example, we see the horrendous things in the world, let's say in our government and so on nowadays. Well, that means if we buy into that, that means something within ourselves agrees with it. Like, oh, success at any cost, let's say. If somebody believes that, they may not like what's being done, but they say, but I can understand because success at any cost. The winners are the ones that get the attention, which is to say their value system is based on getting outside approval, attention, right? These are little subtle things within ourselves that allow the horrendous things cumulatively, right? There's millions of citizens. If they think of that like business first, or like in The Godfather, oh, it's only business, so you can kill people because it's business, it's okay, right? That's sort of the understatement, the subtext. Okay, and enough people like that and agree with that, and then it creates the world situations where, oh, okay, if you're successful, then you're okay, and they'll swallow a lot of your negativity because you happen to be successful or famous or something, right? We do that with movie stars or rock stars or all kinds of things.
Wow. So, and this is, I think, that people are struggling with because then that's why they turn to plant medicines to kind of share would like to have that same experience that you did, at the pyramid. To I guess it's called the death of the ego, but the ego isn't really a death. It's more like you take control of the ego. The ego never goes away. Is that a true statement?
That's true. True. So what the ego is, like anybody who's on the spiritual path will hear real quickly, oh, watch out for your ego, your ego, your ego. Okay, but however, to put it in proper perspective, like everybody has to have an ego. If you have a name and you're in society and you go to school or work, okay, you got an ego. Okay, so what are the good parts and what's the negative parts about the ego? Okay, the good parts of the ego, essential, is first of all, your personal identity. Wow, that's great. Another thing is what Carl Jung would call your path of individuation, your own particular path towards to enlightenment. Everybody has their own path. And then there's the creative ego, also very positive. So, for example, all the artists paint flowers. So Van Gogh, Picasso, Monet all paint flowers. But why are they different? Oh, it's their creative ego. Oh, that's why we like it. Okay, so that's the good part of our ego. Now, the downside is that the ego, now this is Jung's definition, which will throw a lot of light of what the ego is and what it isn't. According to Jung, the ego is a collection of thoughts that comprise your self-identity. So most people think they are who they are according to their thinking mind. All right. What's the downside of that is, wait, there's so much more to us than our thinking mind. Yes, intellect, rationality, all that is important. I'm not saying that. However, the way bigger part of us is bigger than what can be contained in the thinking mind. So let's say, like intuition. My God, intuitively, you can connect to the deepest wisdoms in a snap of a finger. Or feelings, oh, wonder, awe, love. All those are outside of the domain of the thinking mind. So when you have people that are connected only to their ego, they think they are their ego. Well, then they kind of dismiss all that other stuff, love, all that, and higher spiritual awareness. That's why the yogis and saints and seers always say one of the first things is to get free of the thinking mind. In our shamanic practice, we did death rituals, and basically it's the killing of your thinking mind. And then what is true will grow up again. They're not dieable, so
Hmm.
you're not going to lose anything. Anything that's really true is not even dieable, like our essence. So our essence is, in the East, they call it Satchitananda. That's our essence. That's who you really are. So Sat means you exist. Chit, C-H-I-T, means you're conscious, your consciousness, your awareness. And then Ananda is love, bliss. So our essence is awareness, wisdom, bliss. Like, wow, how cool is that? Anything else is secondary. And this essence part, this Satchitananda, is not dieable. So once you get these kinds of experience, then another thing happens. You realize like death doesn't even really exist. Your body goes, of course, but your consciousness is forever, and your essence is consciousness. Everything shifts, right? And then you see, oh my God, they're right. This world is a dream, a beautiful, alluring, crazy dream, but it's still a dream. So you don't hang on to anything because it's just a dream. Just like you wouldn't waste your time trying to grasp smoke or something. No, it's just what it is.
And I think
Anyways,
it's right now it's very hard because we are in very tough times. It's not just the United States, it's globally. And
globally,
we're all being challenged with our emotions. It's either you really hate something, someone, or you are trying to find the compassion of something that you are not liking, and that's very difficult to do as well, and to find that balance. And for now, it seems like things are going to get better, but we still have to hit a climax because this is what we came onto this planet for, is to uh, basically experience this heightened, as we all know, the consciousness is rising here. and we really have to stand our ground. And it's very hard to take those thoughts, the overthinking mind. People are watching out for each other. People are highly upset, and there's other people that are just, they seem like they love this chaos and destruction, and the rest of us are thinking, why? Like, what's that's so maniacal? Why are you doing that? So, like, how can we best address this? Because it's not something that we can just click off like that.
Well, one way to do it is get a bigger picture of it. Now, if you come from the thinking mind, then everything you say would be true, right? We all think that, and it is horrendous. There's no getting around it. So we're not in any way saying in denial of the negativity in the world. No, as a matter of fact, this is a perfect opportunity to practice spiritual warriorship. Oh, I feel terrible. You read the news. Oh, this is awful. I feel awful. I feel in despair, like impotent. Nothing can help. Okay, there is that thinking. At that point, whenever you feel terrible like that, stop, breathe, get back on center. Just like in Kung Fu, you can advance, you can retreat, but stay on your feet, be centered. Okay, so let's say everything hits you like horrible news. Okay, then step back, take a pause, take a few breaths. When you're centered, then you can say, okay, now I'm going to see this whole situation from my heart, not the ego side, the heart side. Oh, this is terrible amount of suffering. What can we do about it? Why did we cause it? Right? We're asking the real questions. Oh, cumulative. What can I, as a single individual, do? Okay, then all this teaching comes out. So to synopsize, there's many ways to deal with it. One of them you could say is, okay, if you look at it cosmically, the big picture. Okay, here's something I learned from Don Miguel, from the shamanic stuff. We are in the process of a huge phase transformation in the whole globe. A phase transformation, you know how when you heat water, it gets hotter and hotter and hotter, and then all of a sudden it jumps a level, it becomes steam. That's a phase transformation. We're going through a phase transformation in consciousness. Oh, wow, that's huge. And this is according to the shamanic seers, the same people who produce the Mayan calendar and all that. So there are no slouches. And yet it's still a probability, like borrowing from quantum physics again. The probability is that our culture, this in the shamanic tradition, it's the sixth humanity. This is the sixth version of the Homo sapien race on the earth. And we're going back eons. And one thing is that the characteristics of the sixth humanity, it's just started since 2012. And so we're just starting, and it may take 100 years to make these big transitions, but it's happening. So it purports to be a golden age. It purports to have the male and masculine, feminine balance, no more patriarchal oppression, none of that. Instead of saying, I, me, I'm the best. No, it's now we, the collective. There's an understanding that you're going to compete and die, or you're going to cooperate and prosper. It's getting to that point. And
So let
now,
me, oh, go
yeah.
ahead. No, I was going to ask about the probability as you were talking about that being a collective in the golden age, the prosperity coming along. So, and this is where there's infinite probabilities of the earth that exists. So let's say we have two of me. One is on the path of spiritual awakening, has the compassion and the mind heart coherence. And then you have a version of me that is the opposite, where lives and thrives off chaos. In these two versions of me, as we are heading towards the golden age, will my version of myself go towards the collective that believes in that golden age, in the compassion, and then I stick or stay on the version of the earth that dwells in the chaos, or how does that look like?
Oh, what happens? Okay, first of all, you're going to be making a choice. Spirit actually, now during this transitional period, this phase transformation, Spirit is saying, Stop sitting on the fence. Commit yourself one way or the other. And look at our whole country is going through that, not to mention the world, right? There's people go on both sides. Go. Now, what happened? Now, here's another ingredient of this thing, and that makes it really magical, is that we are living in parallel realities. So one way to look at it, you know how a radio station, okay, let's say you want to see, or let's say a TV program, you want to see a show. Okay, there's dozens and dozens of shows. Right in this space, there's hundreds of electromagnetic waves going through it. Okay, you can harness them. So you get a receiver and you harness it. Oh, okay, I have a choice. I can see movies, let's say Netflix or something. I can see wild animal story or a love story or a spy movie or something. Okay, let's say a spy movie. I love spy movies. Okay, there's shadings of spy movies. They're like parallel universes, parallel realities. One spy movie is really funny. Another one is full of action, not too much psychological. So another one is psychologically deep and knows all about politics, etc. Right? We're picking that shading that we like, just on a twist of a dial. In other words, we are determining our choice of what world we want to go in, what kind of spy movie we want to be in, just by shifting the frequency of that radio or that TV program, right? Likewise, when we make a choice, we see the horrendous world. Let's say one side of us condemns it, getting judgmental. Okay, that creates its own reality. Okay, let's say we twist the dial, so to speak, to a little higher frequency. Now we're looking at with compassion and kindness. Okay, then we get a different reality, just like in that TV program. So we are creating, people don't know this, but they are deciding what world they want to live in. So let's say you, despite appearances, you are filled with kindness and compassion about it. Oh, Spirit sees that. Oh, this guy's into kindness and compassion. Okay, give him a world where there's kindness and compassion. Thoughts take form. Okay, so then we're in parallel realities. There's thousands of realities, just like there's thousands of radio stations going on. But we only experience one at a time, right? Whichever one we pick. And so with these thousands of possible realities, these parallel realities, during this phase transformation, you're decided, okay, let's say you really stuck to it, no matter what, kindness and compassion, no matter what. Okay, then Spirit will see that, oh, they're into a certain level of vibration, right? Kindness and compassion is a higher vibration than anger and hatred. Oh, so you would be able to slip into that parallel world, which has a similar vibratory rate. It's filled with kindness and compassion. And that's the world you will slip into, even as the ones that are stuck to the negative will create their world. So pretty soon after this phase transformation, you'll be in your own world, and pretty soon that horrible world will be farther and farther away from you. So imagine, so it won't affect you pretty soon. Just like even now, if I was in the center of Ukraine, my God, the suffering is tremendous, right? Except now here in California, like, okay, I hear the news, but it's very distant from me. I'm not suffering. And then if I put my mind on spiritual stuff all the time, I will have compassion all the time, but not the nitty gritty horrors of the war, right? That's not our interest. We're really interested in helping people, compassion and so on, right? So you're dividing, you're choosing, just like you're turning that dial and getting, no, I want a spy movie that is not mean spirited. I want one that has compassion to it. Okay, so then you start getting that world. So imagine a train station. There's dozens and dozens of trains. They're going into these various worlds. All right, so now Spirit is saying, pick one. So you pick one. Okay, this is the one that's most kindness and compassion. Okay, and then pretty soon the trains will take off. It won't last long. And then pretty soon that train, your train, will go off in its own direction. The ones of the hellish realm will go in its own direction. Pretty soon you won't even notice each other. You will have created your own reality by your thoughts, your feelings, your thought forms, right? Or in quantum physics talk, your vibratory rate, the electromagnetic force field that you have chosen to live and hold, will determine what possible alternative realities you can go into, right? It's vibration.
Are we flipping, are we flipping back and forth between parallel universes? So for instance, today I'm feeling great, I'm feeling high vibing, whatever, but tomorrow I have a crap day, and so I go into the victim mentality, woe is me. So it's kind of like, when it rains, it pours type of situation where you just start seeing all these negative things happen because you're having a bad day. Are we going in and out of reality all the time?
Yes, everybody is, myself
Okay.
too. Okay, but which ones you go between starts to get more, zeroed in. I'm going to be neutral and I'm be really kind. Okay, you're not going, I'm going to revenge and I'm going to, your whole range is different. Just like when you
Right.
pick the TV program, Netflix series, right? Oh, okay, this one's all into torture. I don't want that. Okay, you're picking, and everybody's picking. And so going back to your scenario, let's say tomorrow you have a bum day. You could say, all right, from now on it's going to be different. I'm going to change my attitude about my so-called bum day. Why put a label on it? Have opening, like in the Four Agreements, no assumptions. It's another day. You may or may not like what's in that day. That's fine. That's no problem. But if I don't like it, instead of going into, oh, damn, I have to suffer through this day. It's horrible. Why do they always do that? Why do I? No, you don't go there. You say, my opportunity now. I'm going to look at this situation with compassion and patience. And then everything will shift just on your own words, right? Your own thought. So
Well, it
when
makes
you,
it very hopeful because it's kind of like if you're by nature somebody that's really giving and you're going through it no matter it seems like it's a personality trait and a characteristic, and because of who you are as a person, right? Even though you have those bum days or whatever, the majority of your thoughts are more towards the compassion and the giving. So you're already on the trajectory to go to that new earth or that golden age that will, probably not in our lifetime, but we're beginning that part of it, right? So then generations and generations will be in that prosperity that's been told by the ancients, basically.
yes, yes. Yeah, it comes from within out. There's no getting around that. So your take on whatever the situation is, it could be good, bad, and just because you accept it doesn't mean you have to condone it or like it. You're accepting what is, and it's perfect. You know why? Because it exists, right? So a lot of people, they see a situation, let's say they don't happen to like it or it's unfamiliar, or they're an immigrant or something, different or something, they may automatically blame and criticize and sneer and whatever. No, we don't want to do that. No assumptions. Look at everything. Let's say this so-called negative day you're having. Oh, you can say, oh, thank you, Spirit, for giving me an opportunity to practice spiritual warriorship. I'm going to look at the situation from kindness and patience and compassion and just and go at it, from that viewpoint. And you'd be surprised. You can change your whole mood just by a shift in your own attitudes on things.
Well, I
Like
think
you,
that really helps a lot because we're having a human experience, and I think that unless you're fully enlightened, like Jesus or Gandhi or something like that, it it doesn't seem realistic that you're always high vibing all the time. And in the moment where you're not high vibing, that you start being self-critical of not being high vibing. So you kind of put yourself down this like downward spiral versus just saying, it's okay. I'm not feeling good today, but I'm having a human experience, and this is part of the experience that I'm meant to have. But where am I at most of the time? Where am I at? Where would I like to be at? What is my goal? So it's from what I'm hearing from you is that it's okay to have these emotions. Just rephrase it, reframe it in your mind so it could be more, I guess, neutralized.
oh, yeah, you're right. No, you like our feelings. We're in a culture where we suppress feelings, right? goes back to being ego dominated. We're in a culture that's ego dominated. 90% of the people think they are who they are according to their ego. So that's within all the thinking mind, rational, logical, intellectual, technology, all that is going big. But when it comes to the other side, feelings and morality, like what's the morality of a smart bomb that goes awry? Like, well, they haven't begun to figure that stuff out, and yet they're building more and more and more smart bombs. Anyway, to go back to your question, no, a lot of times you feel sad. Okay, we say all your feelings do not have to be justified. Feel your feelings. Now, what you do with the feelings, the energy that is something else now. You're not going to go kick your dog or something, but you can use that. A lot of people use it to feel great artistic masterpieces. Other people, let's say Dostoevsky had a terrible childhood and he wrote all these wonderful books, celebrating the rights of children and so on, right? You can use it for great art, or you can just go out into the nature or ocean and scream out, get that emotional poison out of you. These are skillful ways of releasing that negativity. And we always say, feel your feelings, because out of those feelings will come your deepest contributions to society. Your biggest wounds, your biggest trials, that's where your contribution to society will come. So respect it. So let's say I read the news and I just feel bummed out. Sometimes you don't even know how it hits you. You just kind of come through your, like, oh, everything I'm doing seems futile. Why? Because another war has started. And anyway, then you can look inside. Stop. I feel terrible. What do I feel? I feel horrible. I feel impotent. I feel powerless to help. All right, sit on that feeling. You have every right to feel that feeling. Okay, then pretty soon you realize, oh my gosh, it's not ego sorrow. It's it's enlightened sorrow. It's more for the general cause. It's not me, myself, ego stuff. It's righteous anger. It's righteous sorrow, not just ego anger. It's righteous anger. Like I feel angry, enlightened or not. Gandhi felt terrible that the English were colonializing all his people, right? He has that's a righteous anger. It's bigger than himself. That's the key. It's not your ego. It's way bigger than your ego. So if you feel sad, you can see, oh, I'm actually feeling sad because of all the suffering. It's not like me. Why are they doing this to me? That kind of. It's not ego. It's a righteous sorrow, and that way you can honor yourself for having that feeling. It's a good feeling. Like if you didn't have feelings of sorrow for people that underprivileged people being exploited, well, your humanity is a little diminished.
What I just heard from you indirectly is that with your sorrows, if you don't ignore them and you sit with them, may come out your life purpose, what your contribution to the world may end up being.
Yeah, that's true. Like I do a lot of shamanic counseling one-on-one. If anybody's interested, look, you can contact me through my website. But a lot of times people say, "Oh, I feel in despair." Okay, then we trace it down, usually through the feelings. Oh, it turns out like, when's the first time you felt so much despair? And then the story comes out, right? Sometimes it's hard to find, but oh, it was the time my mom kept putting me down, putting me down, putting me down. I wanted to be an artist. And she says, whoever heard of a pink cow, and laughed at me. And from then on, I froze. When you're like 11 or 12 trying to do something and then you get squelched, like, ooh, wow, in a very formative years. So everything you take to heart. Okay, now she's 40 and she's trying to feel why she's so despondent. Okay, we chase it down to that moment. Okay, when I say sit in the middle of that feeling of despair and anger and feel the feelings, but drop the stories. The stories are, why does this always happen to me? My mom is so screwed up. And, all that judgment, criticism, explanation, justification. Release that. just feel the feelings. I feel despair. And then a lot of times I would say, where in your body? Oh, right here in my chest. And, or what's it like? Is it like black tar? What's it like? No, no, yeah, it's like tar and it's dark gray and so on. What they're doing is they're completely feeling the feelings, but dropping the stories around them. Why does this always happen to me? I'll never forgive them. See, the stories is like a container. Feelings is like water, just like in our invocation, the direction of water is the feeling, the emotional body. Okay, so feelings come in and they fall into this container, meaning our thoughts. I will never let them get away with it. Okay, that's the container. That means you'll never let them get away with it. That means that feeling of anger and whatever stays there in that container. Not only that, it gets festering, it gets worse. Okay, so now when we say feel the feelings, but drop the stories, that's like boom, you're dropping the stories. That means the water can flow again. Okay, so then when I do these one-on-one counseling, the feelings change. Tell me when it changes, and they was, oh, the black tar has gotten more viscous, it's more liquid, and I see little sparks of red, and then then I kind of know, oh, from despair, the feeling is now slowly shifted to anger. Okay, keep feeling the anger. You have a right to your anger. Okay, and then they're angry at their mom for putting them down. Why should I, at 7 or 10 or something, get put down so much? That's not good parenting. Okay, she's angry. Okay, then it keeps changing. Pretty soon she sees a little pink and a little blue. Oh, there's another side kicks in, because once she can express her deepest angers and everything, and then everything changed. Like, okay, once it's expressed, now what? And spirit keeps changing. And then pretty soon she saw that, oh my God, her poor mother suffered from the same husband, like her father all this time. And the father had designs on her sexually, like, oh my God. And the mother was trying to protect her. This is a true story. And so that's why she got lambasted by her own husband. And in that lambasting, she became angry and bitter and dumped it on the daughter. Right? This woman could see the bigger picture. Oh my gosh. Like, and everything changes. And then she could end up feeling compassion for her mother, who tried as best as she could to protect her. And that she didn't get sexually abused, like at least it protected that much. You know what I mean? See, once you see a different, and a lot of times they break down in tears, they see a whole different light. Oh, my poor mom had to suffer, and nobody helped her, nobody talked to her, and she just, and then that's the true healing really begins.
Oh my gosh, I'm about to cry.
Huh?
I'm about to cry. That's so sad. That's so
Oh, this
true.
happens over and over.
Yeah.
And so you could look at, let's say, what's going on in our country. Let's say you apply the feeling, okay, a lot of people are suffering. Even MAGA people are suffering, right? Their ignorance is causing their own suffering. And you just, oh my God, they're causing their own pain and they don't know it. And you try to tell them and they'll just get mad at you and there's nothing you can do. Okay, that takes a different kind of compassion. But when you see the big picture, if you go along with the sixth humanity, as we're saying, oh, everything shifts. That means, if you accept that, that means all the horrors we see now are birth pains for a new order. It's sort of the last gasp of an old order. If you backed up a Wolverine in the corner, boy, it's going to come out fighting like crazy, right? Okay, in a way, this is the old order. The materialism, the me things, the patriarchal abuse, all that kind of stuff. This is well, you can see it in this government. It's the last gasp of an old order. So everything shifts.
So we have so much to talk about, and I think we're probably gonna have to do another live at some point because this is just like to me the introduction of what we can go
Oh
further
yeah, yeah.
out beyond. But what I would like to do at this time for the next few minutes is to open up questions to people so they can get it from you. And again, he's available for one-on-one. So I'm gonna look at the comments to see if I um, see a question, which is, I got a question here. Is it right to share images and videos of war on social media to raise awareness?
Oh, yes. Like, let's say, pictures of the war and the horrendous thing. Here's the dividing line. You show, let's say, the news. Okay, they show this stuff. At one point, it's essential to be informed, to know what's going on, right? Because we know a lot of governments are trying to close it up, hide it, and so on. So, up to a point, it's really good to be informed, to know what's going on. Oh, no, at the same time, a lot of news is just propagated. Nothing is advanced. They just want to put horror out into the media, and because they know horror grabs eyeballs and they just want big ratings. So you and me as individuals, here's how you can tell. Like, you read the news, how does it make you feel? See, I'll go back. If it makes me feel just despair and sick and cynical, don't watch it. If you see the news and it makes you informed, it may be difficult. I'm not saying, everything has to be nicey nice, but if it's very difficult to see and yet it keeps you informed, oh, that's what's really happening, etc. Oh, then it's worth watching. So you pick, because everything's out there now, including AI now, false everything. Trust your own feeling. That means you want to cultivate your own heart center, cultivate your sensibility of feeling. Know the difference between righteous anger and personal ego anger and that kind of stuff. A little bit of this goes a long way, and you put them together, and you can really soar, about your own consciousness, right? Things that would normally have bothered you will not.
Thank you. Okay, we have another one. When you say having a bad day, is this just non-acceptance of the experience?
Partly the first thought that comes to mind, if you said I had a terrible day, like that, you mean? It could be one, you're being judgmental. Maybe it was a day that you didn't happen to like. That's fair enough. You don't have to like everything, but to judge it immediately. Let's say, for example, it's overcast. Oh, it's an ugly day. Well, that's a huge judgment on 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 the weather. For another person, it might be a wonderful day because when it's overcast, it makes you more contemplative, and it has a different vibe. Everybody has their own opinion. So, first thing you would want to ask is, am I being judgmental? Okay, that's one question. If you are, then that's something you definitely want to work on. Like in the shamanic practice, one of the worst inner demons, we call them parasites. The worst ones is the judge, right? We judge self-importance, self-worth issues, arrogance, narcissism, competition. All those are rooted in being on the judge. So let's say in our shamanic practice, boy, that's one of them we really go. If you get that one, the judge has dozens of tentacles, self-worth issues, arrogance, all that stuff. If you get the head of the monster, so to speak, all the other ones will dissipate by itself. So it's really worth practicing.
Very nice. We have one more here. How do you keep on center and even try to help raise the vibration around you? Whoops, 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 whoops. Around you when you feel surrounded by people stuck in low vibes, angry victim mindset.
Oh, okay. Is there more to that?
No, that's pretty much it.
Oh, and then in that case, be discerning as to your circle of friends. Like in the Buddhist tradition, they say the Buddha, the Dharma, the Sangha, you've heard that phrase. The Sangha is the community. It's really important who we hang out with because it's a vibratory rate. So let's say you're working to raise your vibration. Let's say when we went to Teotihuacan, did those power journeys. Okay, super ordinary things happen. Okay, let's say you come back to a circle of friends to tell them about it. And they're all stuck in their head. Oh, that can't happen. No, no, you're just making it up. Why? Prove it. This kind of attitude. All right. If they're not really interested, it's not worth sharing it with them. Why? All it does is bring your frequency down. Now, if they're sincerely interested, that's different, of course. Oh, wow, this happens, this happened. And then you raise.
Mhm.
So if your circle of friends, if you're on the path, really on the path, expect your circle of friends to change because you're raising your vibration. That means your illumined self wants you to get to a higher level of frequency, a higher level of friends, people, your whole life, your parallel reality that you'll be going into. It's all higher vibration. Now, if you get sucker punched by somebody that's always putting down and you don't leave that company, well, then it's on you, right? You're allowing yourself to be brought down by that electromagnetic frequency, by all the negative statements around you or the doubts and so on. So pick your friends. You might even, sometimes they say, if you're really on the path, if you're really going for excellence, expect to be lonely for a while. Alone, anyway, if not lonely, alone. And that's just a good sign that you really are on the path. You're moving beyond your old circle. It's kind of like we're saying of the whole world. We're going into the sixth humanity. If you're hanging on to the fifth humanity, which a lot of Trumpians and all those are doing, they're going to create their own reality. Pretty soon you'll be in another one. You won't even have to deal with them anymore.
And I think that's gonna go, that actually solves future Doc Brock's question as well. And I can attest, I literally just have 5 friends. It's been a lonely path through this journey, and I'm so grateful that I can have the 5 friends. Everything else is just noise that I can't detach from. So it's definitely a work in progress though, because
Yeah, no, that's so true. Because like we often say, you need a city of 10 million to get the 3 friends you really like, but that's enough. You know, right? You don't need a
yeah,
lot. You need just people that can really talk to you heart to heart, and that means a lot.
that's it. Yeah, and that includes family. You have to, cut yourself off from family too, because they're just people. At the end of the day, they just happen to be the people that were the soul contracts to get you to where you need to be in your spiritual journey. So thank them for giving you those heartaches.
Yeah, no, actually, I talked about my horrible childhood. Now, when I look back at it, I say, thank you, adversity, for kicking me onto the path. Everything
Hmm.
changed.
It does. It does.
By the way, if
Okay.
people are interested in this info, I have a book that really goes into it, Map of Desire. You can get it on Amazon, and it's now an audiobook too. So anyway, for people interested in pursuing this stuff further, or join me on Wisdom Sushi Bites on TikTok or Instagram.
What I'm gonna do, since this was like a last minute impromptu, I will create in the description, if it lets me, the information with your links and everything. But for sure, Wisdom Sushi Bites
Yes,
on TikTok has all his links in the bio as well, and also on the Instagram has all his links in the
right.
bio
And
as
also on
well,
YouTube.
and YouTube as well. Yeah,
Yeah,
and this will be also posted on my YouTube at Guided Counsel as well, which I have
great.
other people
Yeah.
there as well. So we're going to end it here before I get cut off, because I always get cut off after like
Oh,
50, 55 minutes because I'm not cool and I don't have 1,000 followers yet. So, um, but thank you so much. I love this. We're definitely going to meet up again if you would be so kind to join me, because there's a
oh,
lot
most certainly.
more that I need to pick your brain on, because I'm fascinated by this and I can sit for hours talking about this. And hopefully we can get more questions as well too, to help people put their minds at ease and help them guide them in the right direction.
Yes, it will. Yeah, no, these are really conspicuous times for us to make our leap in evolution. Go with your higher angels. Go for it.
Yes,
All spirit is now supporting it, your bold acts.
awesome.
Okay, so thank you, everybody,
Thank
and
you.
till next time.
Yes, thank you so much, everyone. Thank you for the great vibes. Thank you.
Okay, bye.
Okay, bye.
Let's see how it's doing. How do you get open?